Hello, today we are going to talk about five ways that you can declutter your mind. And what I want you to do is stay tuned so that we can not only rock out these five, but at the end, I will actually give you a secret to my success related to my emotional energy. All right, so let's get started on these five ways to declutter your mind. Number one, the first thing is that if we want to actually get it out, the concept of better out than in is where we're going to start, which is going to be write it down. Write it down so you can make it plain, and even for yourself to make it plain so that you understand exactly what you are dealing with and what habits or what things are running through your mind that are actually that important to you that it is taking up the space in your mind. So number one is to just simply write it down. Number two, identify the essentials. What really matters and what you're thinking about all day long. What type of things are you thinking about, and what types of things are really no longer important and or relevant to where you are at this stage of life. So being able to identify what are the essentials that are running through my head that I do need to address and what I don't have to address. And then after you figure those things out, you're going to let go. Really simple concept. Let go of those things that you've identified that are not really important and or priorities as to what you can do, right? So if something as simple as, okay, my car broke down, I got to get it fixed, that's something that I have to do. However, do I need a car? Do I need to get my car washed while I'm doing that? May not be something I need to do. So I'm going to eliminate that second thought and just stick with, let's get this car fixed, right? So that's an example. What additional parts of the things that are running through your mind can you eliminate at this stage once you identify what's the essentials and the priorities? So maybe I should say identifying the priorities are really important. The number three is to eliminate the ones that you just really don't need to deal with because they're not important and they're not the priority. Okay, and so this next one is very similar to the first one, but it's a little bit different. The next one is you're going to journal. Write down not just the stuff that wasn't essential and wasn't important, but all the things that were, and start to explore what you might do and what you might even not be able to do related to those things that you're journaling about that are important, and or now that you've identified them as your priorities, you can actually journal about what are the most important steps you have to take, create goals, create things that you can actually take action towards. Because this journaling one is not just the general journaling of everything I'm feeling and what's going on, but it's getting even more in depth with what can I do to deal with or to address the things that I consider important and or are a priority that have been running through my mind. So the last thing, last but not least, is going to sound kind of silly, but it's a really important thing that some of us take for granted. I want you to consider, are you having enough healthy sleep? One of the things that we don't realize our brain does is that when we are exhausted or tired, it actually becomes like a wheel where it's cycling and cycling and cycling, trying to get through the different information throughout the day. And when we're resting, our brains are allowed to rest. Our brains and our bodies are allowed to rest. And so what I want you to do is to look at, excuse me, because I'm about to go into eating, but we'll do that in another video, so don't worry. But am I thinking throughout the day so much so that it's impacting my sleep? If so, what types of things can I do to actually create a healthy sleeping pattern, and what's ideal for me in the body that I live in? And I'm not going to get into too many points around sleep, because I can go on and on about healthy sleeping and making sure that we eliminate thinking thoughts before we go to sleep, making sure that our lighting is off, certain things like turning our television and phones off at least an hour before we actually intend to sleep, because of how our brains work. So there's things that you can do to start to prep your sleeping trying not to go into a full out another video, but I just wanted to share those 5 ways you can declutter your mind. Number 1, write it down. Write down every single thing that's going through your mind. Don't worry about the number at the beginning. Then I want you to identify what's important, what's the priorities, and what's the essentials of those things in those areas that I'm thinking about. And then anything that did not make the essential and important / priority list, whatever you want to call it, you have to eliminate it. Let it go. I can't do anything about it, so it's out of my control. So it's junk in my mind that I have to let go. And then number 5, we're going to journal once again, but very more specifically about what we can do to take actions towards those priorities, essentials, most important things that we do have running through our brains that we have to address. And then last but not least, we're going to reevaluate our thinking through our sleep. How are we sleeping? What are our patterns? And what can we do to improve and have a very restful and intentional type of sleep that can actually benefit our health? All right, you guys, I want you to be well.